Muling nabuhay ang debate kung dapat na bang tanggalin ang pork barrel ng mga mambabatas.
Lamang po sa buong mundo ang walang diborsyo, Malta at Pilipinas. Nag-lightning rally sa batasan ng mga militanteng kababaihan para igingit ang pagpasa sa Reproductive Health Bill.
Tigilan natin ito. Kaya kung itigil itong pork barrel para matigil na lahat itong mga reported anomalies. Itigil natin ang pork barrel. Sa akin.
June, umulat na noong araw. Tuloy na tuloy itong gagawing programa ng mga grupong kontra sa RH Bill dito sa may EDSA Shrine sa Ortigas ngayong hapon para ipahayag ang kanilang pagtutol sa naturang panukalang batas na nakatakda ng ang pagbotohan sa Martes.
Upang mabigyang linaw ang mga isyu na pinaharap ng ating bansa ngayon, kakapanayamin natin si Senator Grace Poe ng ika-16 na Kongreso.
Nakakalungkot na nangyari ito, pero dapat talaga managot ang mga may kasalanan. Kahit ng mga kaibigan pa namin sila, masakit. Pero di ba kahit naman may anak ka, pag nagkasala yung anak mo, pwede mong bigyan ng moral support, pero hindi mo pwedeng kampihan. Dahil maling ehemplo naman sa mga kapatid. Diba? So, kailangan, bilang mambabatas, patunayan natin na tayo mismo sinusunod natin ang batas at pinapaiwan natin.
What is your opinion about RH bill? RH bill. Are you anti or pro?
The thing with the RH bill is at this point we're more pro, but then there's some provisions that need to be added to the RH bill to make it really applicable in society. And that means that you need to add a provision for those who want to conceive children. The RH bill isn't supposed to be something that prevents life, if that's the point. It should be a bill that helps you make family planning decisions for the betterment of your family. And that means that for those who want to have children, the government should be able to support them, should be able to help them. And so we believe that before we finalize things on the RH bill, we need to add a provision on creating it.
The next question. About that topic, about the issue of the pork barrels, what are your thoughts?
Regarding the pork barrel scam, it's sad because the PDAFA, the Priority Development Assistance Fund, was being used by some politicians for their own personal gain. But there are situations where it's used for healthcare, where it's used for scholarships, where it's used for infrastructure. There are many schools in the provinces as well as hospitals in the provinces that depend on the PDAF. Now that we have this issue with pork barrel, of course, our office, including the Senator, is pro the removal of pork barrel, so anti-pork barrel. We haven't used any of our PDAF. But it's sad because she wanted to use her PDAF to start a national feeding program in the country. And now that we can't use our PDAF, we have to find other ways to do that. But it's our belief that in order for this democracy to move forward, we have to do without the PDAF so we can focus on legislation, which is the primary function of legislators. But what happens to the PDAF fund? We believe that the PDAF fund should then be allocated to places like DOH, DepEd, DPWH, so that the hospital bills, the education programs, and the infrastructure can continue to happen.
Sir, for the last question, are you in favor of the divorce law?
Divorce law. Honestly, we're not in favor of the divorce law. We still want to look into it, see what we can change, because as of now, we have a lot of provisions in our current constitution as well as in our current laws that help families. If anything, we have to look into assistance for families before we go into the divorce law. Going into the divorce law is the easy way out. Finding what's wrong in society and why we have these problems, that's what we have to tackle. So we have to invest in family counseling. We have to look into how we can make laws regarding family issues more accessible for families, because let's face it, right now, if you don't have the money You can't get an annulment. You can't, even if we had the divorce law, you wouldn't be able to afford the lawyers to really set up the divorce case. So, that.
What are your thoughts on the families that cannot have an annulment? What should they do?
Families that have cases of child abuse or, for example, wife battering, these are very valid situations for wanting to get an annulment, wanting to get a divorce. But that's why I was saying that we have to strengthen the institutions that we have now, which means that, for example, a good example is PGH has a women's help desk, which is smaller than this room. It's about half this room. And the patients that go there for things like abuse are sent to the pediatric children's help desk because there's no space, no doctors to take care of them. Things like that need to be addressed before you can go into the divorce law. Because if you go into the divorce law right away without strengthening first or properly funding things like that, then even if you had the divorce law in place, you wouldn't be able to take care of them in terms of their psychiatric needs, their medical needs in case they were battered, and where would you get the evidence for the trials? So you really have to institutionalize support for women, especially if that's where you're going with the annulment case. But in general, if you really can't afford the annulment cases, that's why you really have to put in government funding for families.
What are your advices
To the youth, I think that number one, value the advice of your parents. Number two, whatever you believe in, your idealism, hopefully you don't lose it when you get older. But number three, my advice for the youth is find ways to be proud of your country. Kasi usually tayo muna magsasabi, Pilipinas, ang traffic dyan, ganyan, di ba? Pero isipin ninyo, how you promote our country will have an impact also on our country. If we say our country is ugly, it will eventually become that. So, for the youth, it's my simple advice.
Bagay sa mga katanungan na nabigyang kasagutan ng Senator Grace Poe, narito ang mga pahayag at nalaman namin ayon sa bansa.
Hindi ako anti, hindi rin ako pro sa divorce law.
Ako hindi sumasangay sa divorce law dahil maaari itong maging libangan
Kailangan, bago sila pumasok sa isang relasyon, handa sila, hindi yung bigla silang magbabago.
Para sa akin, pro RH bill ako.
Sangayon ako sa RH bill.
Dahil sa pagdami po ng populasyon dito sa Pilipinas,
Sa mga may hirap pag walang trabaho, kapag ginagawa nilang libangan yun, alam niyo na, kaya yun. Sangayon ako sa sinabi ni Senator Grace kanina.
hindi ako pro o anti sa court pare.
Yung mga senator nga naman na pinagkatiwalaan ng taong bayan para gamitin yung pera sa tama, ginamit nila sa maling paraan.
Kaysa ayon ako sa court pare. Pag naipas sa FOI, for yun.
Na nilulunsan ni Senator Grace Poe ngayon.
Nalalaman natin kung saan pumunta ang pera ng publiko.
Hindi na natin naibigay sa ibang mahihirap na pwede makatulong. At sinabi mo, Lord,
Sa akin okay lang kung itutuloy yung pork barrel kasi hindi naman lahat ng tao is scammer.
At yan po ang aming napagtanto batay sa gawain inatas po sa amin ng aming profesor na si Ginang Daniel M. T. Guzman na nabigyang linaw ni Senator Grace Poe at ang kanyang anak si Mr. Poe Llamanzares.
Ako ay pro sa RH bill.
kala ba tutol?
Ano ba yan?
May put. Dali na! Yung puto talaga tinignan nila. 8.
Ako ay pro sa RH bill dahil ito ay makakatulong sa pagdami ng populasyon ng Pilipinas.
Ano? Ang dami!
Baliw!
Show you up.
Show you all.